Greetings, family. Now, I know y'all are used to my talks that are interactive, engagement, but just because of the topic itself, um, this one is not going to be like that. This is just going to be kind of me sharing a diary of some thoughts and about things that have happened within the past year. My experiences, things that I've learned, hardships, um, I guess good things that have happened as well, but just overall, just an authentic view of how the world has gone for me over the past year and some change. I've talked about this on this channel before, and anyone who's been following this channel for more than a year already knows some of this. In 2019, my dad had a mini stroke in about November. The timeline of me starting this, not starting this channel, but the timeline of this channel actually gaining subscribers and everything, that happened in 2022. In 2022, when I started covering Big Brother. So when I started covering Big Brother, my dad had had about two mini strokes and three strokes, three major strokes that we knew of when I started covering Big Brother. And at that time, covering the show was kind of an outlet for me in a way. And things were happening in real time, as a lot of people know. Things are happening in real time. So I still remember the night before finale night of Big Brother season 24. My dad had a stroke that night, and I went to the hospital to see him that night. And I didn't know if he was going to make it through to the morning, which he did, but I didn't know that he was going to. Um, yeah, to circle back, because this is not something that I have planned or written out or anything like that. As far as I knew, he was pretty strong and fairly healthy post retirement. Yes, he did have some kind of medical conditions. He had his arthritis, he had his high cholesterol, he had certain things that were wrong with his health. But at the same time, he was still traveling, he was doing some entrepreneurial things. He was still maneuvering himself around. He was driving, he was living, he was doing whatever he wanted to do. So, myself nor my family never really saw a time where that was going to stop anytime soon. So, it came as a surprise when he started to lose his mental capacity and also when he started to lose his physical capacity. And I was now in a position where I was assisting to take care of him, which I also never foresaw coming. So now here I am. I'm trying to work and I'm trying to take care of him and I'm living with him. So it's not like I'm coming and I'm seeing him sometimes or I'm helping where I can. It was like I was working remote because of the pandemic and he was in the house and he had needs. And I was trying to take care of his needs and I was trying to take care of my job needs and there was just a lot surrounding that, which I have also talked about, but that's not the main area of focus that I wanted to talk about at this moment. At this moment, I wanted to talk about what it's been like without him here since the time he has been gone, which was April 16 of last year. In the very, very beginning, I know that I got a lot of calls. We got a lot of visits to the house. I got a lot of messages, whether it was Facebook, whether it was Instagram, whether it was text messages, just people that had concerns about how I'm doing, well, my well-being and all of that. And that was nice. But I would say probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks after we buried him, those calls, those texts, and those messages mostly were done. Probably about 1% of those people that were providing those previously were maintained that over a course of time. And that time was a real difficult time because going from getting so many calls that I didn't want to answer my phone to my phone not ringing, it was really difficult. It was just like it's a hard thing to experience, which I think a lot of people experience at different times, but I had never experienced something like that to this magnitude. So it was really difficult. The silence was deafening. So during that time of silence, I was still having to maintain my income. So I had to continue to go to work. So I had to keep working, and my work is in the service field, in the mental health field. So here I am going through some serious mental health struggles of my own and trying to help people who were going through things. I don't want to marginalize them by saying that they were lesser than mine, but I do want to say I was going through a trauma at that time, and I was trying to help other people with trauma, which is again a very difficult thing to manage. So there was that aspect of it. When it came to friends, it was a strange expectation that people had where they thought that I would be the one experiencing this pain, but I'm focused on reaching out to them to tell them of the pain that I am experiencing. In my mind, if I know somebody is going through a struggle like that, which I actually do know of multiple people before I had that experience who had it before me. And even without me having had that experience myself, it was just in my head to reach out to them because I know that they're probably not in a good mental state to be thinking about me like that. Like I might be in their mind somewhere, but there's other things going on. So at that point in time, I know that I had to be the one who's going to be like, "Hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What do you need?" But I had people that felt like, "Oh, I haven't heard anything from you. I'm offended. I'm upset." And I was thinking that's rather wild to me for someone to be upset that somebody who is grieving is not reaching out to them to tell them what I'm experiencing. Because there was a point in time, if I did not have work, if work was not a requirement for me and I just had the money to just sit in my room, not speak to anyone and not leave my house, I would have done that. That would have been my choice. It's only because of necessity and the way the world works. why I was actually still out in the public doing things. But I was working with a deep depression. And now I'm still kind of in the same spot with a lesser depression, but it's still there. It's not like it has gone away. It's probably going to take some time. But I will say that I do have just an underlying clinical depression. So um, certain things would give everybody some kind of situational depression, but the clinical depression just makes things worse. So there was a number of months where I was just functioning, and that was pretty much it. I was functioning minimally, but nobody can tell when I'm functioning minimally because my worst day is better than some people's best days when it comes to the things that I'm able to do. Like, I have just experienced so many things in my life that I'm able to push through to a point where nobody would think anything is going on. And that's what it was. So then when I got to a point where I started to feel like I need to pull myself out of this rut, and I started saying to myself, I need to socialize again. I need to figure out some activities to help get me out of this rut. And people saw that from the outside looking in, and they're like, I'm glad you're all the way back good again. And I'm like, I'm glad you think that, but that's not the case. I'm smiling through my pain. A few people understand that, but most people don't. I think that life really starts once you've experienced something like that. That might be a weird thing to say because some people feel like that's when their life ends, but I think I've learned so many more things about myself in this past year than in all these many years prior because I've had to. I've had to be more real with myself and I've had to be more real with others. There's certain things that people have seen about me in the past year where they're like, I didn't know you were like that. And it's like, it's not really that I'm different than what I was before in a sense of this is a new thought or a new being. It's just more like now the end feels more realistic to me because everybody knows, you're taught and you just know because you hear it and you see it. You live and you die, but you're not really thinking about the death part of it until it hits somebody who is like a foundational piece of your being because it's not like that's the first person I ever lost. I lost my grandfather. My grandfather was I think 87 years old and had lived several years with Alzheimer's. I actually lost a good friend of mine who was 19. When I was, I think I was 20. I think he was born in the same year as me. He was just born a month after me, and I lost him when we were both 19 years old. And it was, trust me, it was very sad and very tragic, but it was also very different than losing a parent. And from that time, there hasn't been a normal for me since, and I'm just starting to feel like there is not going to be a normal after. There's just going to be, I don't know, a realism, or just like a different view of what normal is. Like normal, unfortunately, the longer you live, is pain, is heartbreak. You know, my grandmother, she's 89. She's 89 years old. She's going to be 90. I hope and pray that she lives to see her 90th birthday. Um, and like, she'll call me. The reason I'm laughing is because she'll call me and she'll be like, "Do you remember brother, sister, so and so? They died. Like, do you remember this person from Guyana, this person from Trinidad, Pastor so and so, this person, this one and that one, they died." So it's like not everybody lives to be 89. She's 89. By the time you live to be that, if you live that long, you know, she lost her spouse, um 2009, 15 years that she's been living without him. She lived 56 years, I believe, with him, as married. 56 years married with him and 15 without him. It's a long time. And she's lost, you know, family members, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, everybody. Basically all the generation that raised her. And I don't know how many days I have. I don't know how many days I will have, but I do know the more days that I do have is the more experiences like that I will have. And you realize how strong your elders, those folks really are, because they have experienced so much pain in their lifetimes. And she's not like, her specifically, she's not someone who really brings that onto me. She doesn't bring that onto me. She's like, live your life, be happy, travel, do things that make you happy. But I know that she carries a lot of things. She carries a lot of things. And I feel like I'm starting to carry some things as well. This is one thing that I'm carrying. But I will say, I was in a deep, dark place last year around this same time. And I don't know who knew that and who didn't know that, but that's the truth of the matter. Like, that's where I was. I was. You still saw me. You still heard me. Matter of fact, I was covering Big Brother at this time last year still, and I covered it. It was 100 days long, and I covered it 100 days. Plus, I was holding down a full time job while I was doing that coverage. So you would think that I was good, but I wasn't. Now I've gotten to the point where I'm okay. Like I'm not as bad as I was at that time. But the results, the end results, and I think this is probably the last thing I'm going to say. The end results of the trauma of this past year is that it really made my circle a lot smaller. It really made me realize who was there for me, who was not there for me. It really made me realize who really cared about me and who really didn't. And it also brought me to a place of saying to myself, I don't even want to start anything unless there is some kind of purpose for me in that. If there's no purpose, I don't want to do it. It made me less prone to engage in meaningful activities, less prone to engage in meaningless activities, actually, and meaningless conversations. And yeah, I mean, that part of it is where I would say is a good thing because I was just willing to do things just to do things for a lot of my life. I would do things to kill time. I would do things because other people wanted me to do them. Now I'm not in that spot anymore. I'd rather sit right in my house, arms folded, than to do something that doesn't make me happy, or if something that doesn't make me money, or something that doesn't have at least some sort of purposeful movement towards it. And that is just a collection of my thoughts. If you listened this far, thank you. I appreciate that. I think I have one more video to make tonight, not on this channel, but on my other channel. But please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. And also, if you're struggling with something, reach out to people. It's okay. Reach out to people, but you don't have to reach out to everyone. Reach out to the people who you know genuinely care about you, genuinely have your back, and have a genuine concern for your well-being. And forget everybody else. That's all I got. As all the comedians say, from all the 2 to 3 comedy shows that I've been to, that's my time. And take care, everybody, and have a great night.